Hi, I'm Rebecca Ablack. I play Debbie in Fear Street Prom Queen, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So excited to be joined by today's guests. Today I'm talking to Rebecca Ablack, who plays Debbie in Fear Street Prom Queen. Rebecca, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
You are very welcome. So, hey, I'm just going to give you guys a fair warning. This interview will contain some spoilers for Fear Street Prom Queen. So, if you haven't already, make sure you watch the film. I imagine a lot of you guys watching this probably already have, considering it was number one on Netflix. So, first off, Rebecca, I just want to say congratulations to you and the cast and crew for the success of the film.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So, to start things off, I wanted to ask you because I was watching some other interviews and I saw that it sounds like you grew up on Goosebumps. So, just wanted to start off by asking you like what was some of your whether it was like the books, what were some of your favorite books, or even episodes from the original series growing up?
My brother and I used to have like a bunch of the Goosebumps books. I think like somebody bought us a collection or something because we had a lot. Like I can remember that we had a bunch of them. There was one, like I haven't read them for so long, but there was one scene that really stuck out to me. Anything with bugs was like really, really too much for me. I'm already afraid of like real bugs in real life. So bugs being like monsters and being like haunted and being larger than normal
Yeah.
really set us off. And me and my brother have had our very own like horror stories within our own house with like spiders. We're really bad with any type of bugs. So those kind of I think the Goosebumps had a hand in traumatizing me with real life bugs as well.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say,
yeah,
so
I
I
can't
imagine
remember the story names, but yeah.
I know one of them off the top of my head that I'm thinking of is I'm pretty sure it's called Go Eat Worms. And it had like
Oh
worms like
God.
coming through like the pages like a book or something, I think was like on the
Oh
front
yes.
cover if I remember
Yes.
correctly.
I remember that. Yeah. And also like our covers were kind of like embossed. So you
Yeah.
could like touch yeah, that even thinking of it is kind of like grossing me out. So
But I wasn't the same as far as like the bugs, but the Haunted Mask, the original one. I remember the reading the book, but then that was I believe top of my head, I think that was the first episode that came out for the TV series.
oh yeah.
And that one, that was like Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark was some of the stuff that really kind of got me into horror as a kid. And
Yeah.
that first episode, I remember watching it with my parents and my mom, just traumatized me a little bit because she did like the Carly Beth voice. And I just remember after the episode being like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you" in the voice and everything like that. And
Wow.
mom,
She
stop
wanted
it.
to scare you.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. So, but hey, it made me the horror fan who I am today. I was gonna ask you, was there any particular books that scared you? But it sounds like pretty much anything with the bugs.
Yeah. I don't remember the book titles. I haven't read them in so long. And I'm not a horror person. Like I don't even watch horror movies. Like I watched the Fear Street movies when we started shooting them. Like I didn't watch them at the time because I was too scared. Um, but yeah, I hadn't read them in a long time, but anything with bugs will get me.
Now, what was it? So speaking of where you said that you're not really a horror person, so what was it like stepping into a new genre and working in the horror genre with this film?
I feel like it's way more exciting as an actor to do horror than it is for me as a viewer. Um, because you get to see how it's done, see how the sausage is made basically. And you know, I got to see like the death scenes as a viewer once the movie came out, but I also got to see them being shot. And then I think that seeing how it's done actually makes it less scary
Yeah.
in as a viewer. But I will say, like, I also close my eyes. Like like even in watching this movie, like I'm like this for a lot of it, or I'm turning away. Like I'm not gonna look because I'm honestly the blood of it and the gore of it gets me more than like the thrill of the scare. Um, but I think it's really exciting as an actor because you get to be at the height of all of these emotions. The stakes are never higher than when you're gonna die or when someone's gonna die. So you get to play as big as you possibly can. And I think in this movie, the opportunity to do that is both in the horror and also in the character, because Debbie is like the meanest girl alive. And so, you know, that's also at the height of your emotions. And So I think as an actor, it's like really juicy and was very exciting for me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like horror films, they're almost like a roller coaster ride, just the different emotions that you can go through and some of the most fun, at least in my opinion, that you can have as an
Mhm.
audience member, whether it's watching it streaming or watching it at the theater, especially when you get to watch it with other people too and experience it and seeing other people, whether, they're screaming or, squirming in their seat just because of the gore and stuff like that. But yeah, and th this movie in particular, I was kind of, I mean, the previous trilogy did have a good amount of gore and stuff in it as well, but I was watching this, I was kind of surprised. I was like, wow, there's quite a bit of blood, guts, and gore in this film. And
Yeah.
I'm a big horror fan, so I was like, I'm all for it, but I was a
Yeah.
little surprised.
Yeah, no. Oh my gosh, me too. When I first watched it, I was just watching by myself. And then I watched the whole movie with India and David. And I that was kind of when I realized like it's for sure it's like super scary and super gross, but it's also so fun to watch with a group of friends. Like I think that's how horror movies should be watched, with other people because it's all about the audience reaction value. Um, and it was so much fun to watch with a group, and I was like, oh, it feels like watching any horror movie with my friends. It was really fun.
I knew as soon as this thing started, you had the music, the score just jumping right into the film. I was like, oh yeah, this is the type of movie that was made for me. I love those 80s slashers, and I thought you
Mhm.
guys had did a great tribute to those type of films. So you played Debbie in the film. What kind of influences helped you get into the mindset of portraying this character for the movie?
Well, I one of my favorite musicals ever. I'm a musical theater person, and one of my mu favorite musicals is Heathers.
Oh yeah,
And I felt like Heathers was such a good parallel for this movie. Um, and obviously because it's 80s, and like we have like icons like Winona Ryder to look to there. But then also like the Heathers, like I think that the Wolf Pack is so much like the Heathers and like these like campy 80s mean girls and I definitely looked a lot to that movie, especially because it's creepy, it's scary too.
yeah,
Um,
definitely has a darker side to it for sure.
Oh, for sure. And also it like leads you on for a long time and then it like lets you in as an audience member, which I think Prom Queen does as well. Um and yeah, I definitely looked to that. And then I guess for like individual characters, I thought a lot about Santana from Glee.
Yep.
Um, she's like my one of my all-time favorite characters. And she kind of has this like rule the school girl vibe to her in a way that's very matter of fact. And I feel like Debbie was never afraid to say anything. Um, and because she's, desperate to be liked by Tiffany, be Tiffany's number two. So I definitely channeled that Santana mean girl energy and like the vicious kind of quips that she has.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, those were my two biggest like inspirations.
Yeah, I mean there's so many classic Mean Girls over the years that you can pick from. Did you I know it's di totally different decade, but did you reference like Mean Girls at all, like for
Oh,
example?
for sure. I think especially when we do the dance at the
Yeah.
prom, that reminded me so even when I read the script, that reminded me so much of their little Christmas show dance in Mean Girls. Like I mean, it's an iconic movie and the musical as well, I was a fan of. And so that definitely came to mind. Also, like I think the visual of four Mean Girls um is is so much like Mean Girls. I mean, Prom Queen references so many different movies, and I think like this one definitely had a Mean Girls influence for sure.
Yeah, you guys definitely had your Mean Girls moment there, like you were saying with the dance scene. And what went into that? How long did it take you guys kind of to prep and choreograph that whole dance scene?
Well, I actually that was the rehearsals for that were kind of the first thing that we did. I met Fina and Alan for the first time at a dance rehearsal. And the choreography was pretty simple and pretty doable, but we definitely all four of us, me, Fina, Alan, and Ella, we were all really like nervous for the dance because none of us would classify ourselves as dancers. But we had a total of I think three dance rehearsals, and one of those was at the actual like high
School.
school.
Yeah.
on the stage. And so, and everybody was there. It wasn't just us, it was like a bunch of our castmates. And so that was kind of fun that we got to like do it in front of them in a rehearsal so that the first time we were doing it for real wasn't like in front of like a huge audience.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it took 2 days to shoot and then 3 rehearsal days.
Yeah, I imagine you guys probably reading the script, you're like, oh man, we just have to do this dance number, no pressure or anything like that.
Yeah, it was like it was a lot. We definitely it's kind of like a humbling experience, I think, because you're up there, you have your American flag leotard and 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 like the little dyed pumps, and I think that was definitely, you know, it puts us all in quite the headspace, but the fact that we're all dressed the same, we all have to do the same
Yeah.
dance, it's kind of it's a bonding experience for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least you got to share the moment with a couple other people. It wasn't necessarily just like all on you where everyone's kind
Oh
of
my
watching
gosh,
you
yeah.
thing. So yeah, I'm sure that helped a little bit. And so you talked about, meeting them for the first time, but what about just I guess like the whole cast and crew in general? Can you talk about just meeting everyone for that first time and then also developing that dynamic and relationship that you guys kind of built upon throughout the rest of the film while you guys were working on it?
Yeah, I made some of my like best friends on this film. I feel really, really lucky. And I think I feel really lucky when I get to be in a project that there's already like a pre-made group. Like for me, it was the Wolf Pack, but in a grander scheme, it was kind of everybody because we were all in that prom hall for like I want to say like 15 days or something. So we all were together for so long. And I think that it kind of you kind of have to become friends. Like there's no choice. You're spending like 14 hours a day together. So,
Yeah.
you all become really close. And I felt really grateful that we had such a good group. Um, I especially like being in the wolf pack too. It's like we went everywhere together. We did so much together. We spent a lot of time together, and also we were shooting in Hamilton, Ontario, and most of us aren't from Hamilton, so we were all staying in a hotel there as well. And so at the end of the day, it was like we all go back home, like nap for a little bit, go out and get dinner, like if there's time. And so it's kind of like being at summer camp because like you're meeting like a bunch of new people and then you spend like a whole 2 months with them. And then at the end of it, you kind of like don't see them as much anymore. It's like it's very sad at the end of it, but it's so much fun while it's happening.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully, you guys get to work together, with other projects
Mhm.
coming out in the future. I don't know if this is something that you kind of thought about with your character, but did you think about how Debbie and Tiffany became friends in the first place and how she ended up becoming one of the wolf pack?
I definitely did think about it. It seemed very clear to me that Debbie and Tiffany had been friends way longer than any of the girls. And I think it's because Debbie kind of feels this entitlement uh to that number two spot, like being Tiffany's number one girl. And I always kind of imagined that they knew each other since, like preschool and that like their families were close. Like that's what it seems like because Debbie seems so hurt by the fact that Tiffany isn't making her number one and the fact that Tiffany is kind of prioritizing Melissa.
Yeah,
Um, and Ella kind of had a story for Melissa that she had been friends with Lori in middle school and that maybe she didn't become friends with Tiffany until high school. So
that makes sense.
that kind of yeah, that kind of informed my decision of like, oh, that's why like Debbie is so upset. She's like, you weren't even here. Like I was here from the beginning. You just joined in grade nine, maybe.
Yeah.
Grade nine, that makes me sound so Canadian. Ninth grade. Uh, but yeah, I definitely had an idea that they've known each other since they were children, and that maybe Tiffany kind of takes Debbie for granted because of that.
And I gotta give a shout out to the wardrobe, the costume designers, the hair, the makeup, set decorators, everything. I thought they absolutely nailed it. What is, and I know maybe it might be hard to pick from, but what was your favorite look from the film and why did that one kind of stand out for you in particular?
Mm. I I think that I would say that the Debbie has like a school look that she wears, which is just like it's like a really color blocked like sweater and then like mom jeans, like mom high-waisted jeans, which is awesome. But I I'm gonna change my answer. I'm gonna say that there was an outfit that we don't see very much in the movie. Um, and it's like a it's like an acid wash denim um like dress. And she wears it to like the movies when the friends go to the movies.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, she wears that and like a blue scrunchie. She has the classic side ponytail. I had a side ponytail for like every single
There you
scene.
go.
But yeah, the classic side ponytail with like a bright blue scrunchie and like cowboy boots. And I was thinking about that look recently and I was like, oh, I wish that it was seen more because I was sitting down obviously in that scene, so you didn't really see the dress, but I think that was like something I wouldn't wear today, but when I put it on, I was like, oh, this is so 80s and so good. Like I loved it for Debbie. Um, yeah, I would say that's probably my favorite look.
Your favorite one. Yeah, I was gonna ask you like, well, actually two things. So did you get to keep anything as far as like any of the looks from the, any of the costumes or anything that you wore? Or just,
I wish. Our team obviously, they need to keep most of the stuff just in case there's reshoots or, anything. They have to have their stuff. But
yeah.
I basically begged for the necklace that Judd gives Debbie, that locket. I thought it was so pretty. And I just like I love a
Did you
necklace
get
like
it?
that. I didn't. Well,
Uh,
there was a whole thing. There was a whole thing. Like I was like, would I be able to get one of these necklaces? Because there was like five,
yeah.
obviously, because it gets
Oh,
splattered with blood. So
yeah.
it's, um, but so there were a bunch of necklaces, and I was like, can I even have one of them? I could even take the one splattered with blood. I'll clean it. I don't care. And they were like, sorry, we need
Dang.
to make sure we have them all. And I was like, ugh, okay, fine. But
That's totally fair. Yeah, just in case there was any kind of reshoots and stuff like that. Um,
yeah.
and I was gonna ask you too, but you kind of like went into it a little bit there. Just how was all of that stuff, the wardrobe, the hair and makeup, the music, how was all of that able to just help you get into kind of this mindset and in this timeline of the 80s?
Mm. I think for me, the thing that got me most into the period was the hair and like the makeup. Just I think the looks in general. Um, but not only like doing my own hair and makeup, but seeing like everybody's like 80s hairdo. Um, it like I mean everybody's so talented. Like our hair and makeup team, they had so much there was so much research that went into it. And like they would have like their photos from like their Pinterest boards like up in the makeup and hair trailers. And like even that kind of got me in the headspace of like the 80s. Um, and I think I've said this so much, but my hair reminded me so much of my mom's hair. My mom has like a curlier hair texture than I do. And then when I see photos of her in the 80s, I was like, I look exactly like this. Like, well,
That's
as soon
pretty
as they did
cool.
my hair and like it came out of the rollers and everything, I was like, oh, like I look like my mom. This is so cool. Um, yeah, I think that was the thing that really like dropped me into that time period.
What was her reaction when she saw you all done up as far as like the hair and makeup and
Oh,
stuff like
she
that?
loved it. She loved it. I sent her so many photos and um I got one of the photos of me with the side pony with the curls like printed one of our makeup artists printed it and I gave it to my mom and it's still hanging up in her room. Like she was like, "Oh, I love your curls." Like I wish honestly she has like the nicest hair texture and I kind of have like just waves or like straight hair and I'm hoping I grow into her curls because after the movie I feel like so jealous.
I love that. That's cool. But yeah, that's one of the things that I'm such like a behind the scenes type of person. So I always want to give a shout out to some of those teams because we don't necessarily get to see them talk about some of these projects. And so, but you always see their work on the screen. And
Mhm.
so it's like, I want to make sure to, give them a shout out as much as possible. Because like you said, there's so much research and so much detail that goes into bringing these characters and these worlds to life for these television series or these movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you put together a type of pitch as to why Debbie maybe would have thought that she would have made the best prom queen out of everyone?
I had an idea of Debbie that she kind of knows in her realistic view, she knows that she's not going to win. In her mind, she thinks Tiffany is going to win. So even when, they have their little thing of Tiffany saying, I don't care who wins as long as it's one of my girls, like Debbie knows that she doesn't mean that. Debbie knows that Tiffany wants to win and is going to win. In Debbie's mind, Tiffany is the only winner.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that if I had kind of an idea that if Debbie did win, she could prove to Tiffany that like, haha, I told you so. I actually am your number one girl. You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't have underestimated me.
Yeah.
Um, and but I noticed throughout that like Debbie doesn't really do anything to go out of her way to try to win. Like Linda, she's giving out her flyers, she's like campaigning.
Yep.
Debbie's not doing that because she doesn't want to step on anybody's toes. She doesn't want to step on Tiffany's toes. And so I think that maybe internally she's kind of hoping that she might win, but I think realistically she knows she won't.
And she is still has that loyalty to Tiffany, even though she is kind of pissed about what has happened, between just the whole thing with Melissa. Spoilers for here, especially for like this specific question, but unfortunately, Debbie doesn't make it throughout the whole film. She does end up getting killed off. Now, can you talk about working with Damian and just filming your guys' death scenes in the film, especially like your reaction to seeing his character getting killed off, because that was a pretty gruesome death. So I imagine that must have
Oh
been
yeah.
wild to be there for the filming of that.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, I would say that, all the deaths are really brutal, but I think for Judd's death, it kind of comes out of nowhere. Like
Yeah,
you're not expecting it. Um, or maybe you are expecting it because they're in the basement
in
or
the room.
whatever,
Yeah,
but in the moment it kind of comes out of nowhere. Like he's in the middle of speaking. And so it is pretty shocking. I think filming that was like my scream moment, right? Because my death doesn't have very many big screams because of what's happening to me. But yeah, like I think that was my big scream moment. So I definitely was excited to do my scream. But seeing it in the movie, like it is like really gross. Even when my parents were watching it, my dad had to step away. He was like, this is like just
too
too
much.
much. It's too much blood. But yeah, like it's definitely tough to see. Everybody's death is kind of tough to watch. Even though and you kind of saw it. Like for me, I especially saw Damien's death in real life, and it wasn't all
Yeah, you
that,
were right there.
obviously. Yeah. It wasn't everything you see in the movie, but it's like a lot to watch. Everybody's death for me was a lot to watch because, it's hard to see your friends get
Yeah, get
killed.
packed up.
Um,
Now, did they use like
but
a prosthetic? Like I'm assuming it was some kind of like prosthetic. Did they do like a casting for like his face or something? Or
Yeah, what's funny is they actually had a full body cast of Damien that they didn't really use.
hmm,
It ended up not getting used because I think in the last second, like our director Matt was just kind of like, maybe it would be better to shoot him like straight on. So what it was the chainsaw like blade, um, the circular blade was actually like felt. It was soft, but
yeah,
it looked like a blade. And so in the moment, the killer, it was an actor named Thomas, would be there and like holding it up to his face. And there was the sound, but there was nothing really whirring or
yeah.
twirling or spinning. Um, but yeah, it was basically just Damien making his death noises. Um, and for me, that was traumatizing enough. So
Yeah.
that was enough for me to give my scream performance.
And what about yours? The just getting electrocuted up against the wall.
Yeah, it was crazy. So first of all, there were live sparks in the room,
Oh wow.
and I was definitely kind of scared about that, especially because, like I have so much hairspray in my
Yeah.
and then, and I'm wearing these like stockings. And I was like, a lot of me is super flammable right now, but the team made me feel really safe, and we did a bunch of like test runs, and the sparks were like far enough away from me. Um, and then when it came to like the actual electrocution, leading up to the day, I was like, what do people look like when they get
Yeah.
electrocuted? I have no clue. And I would like look up scenes. I was like looking up electrocution movie scenes on YouTube, and the only one I could find was like the one from Home Alone where Marv gets electrocuted. And I
Classic.
was like, well, that's not really realistic. And then what was really funny was on the day, me and Matt had a discussion about like, I wonder what electrocution really looks like or whatever. And both of us were looking up scenes on YouTube and like holding them on our phones and watching them like right there on set. Um, but we kind of landed on the fact that like it would be pretty hard to make noises or make facial expressions when you're getting electrocuted because you're kind of just shocked
Yeah.
literally. And but it definitely was all in like the movements of like being stiff, but also like shaking. Um, it definitely felt like an upper body workout that day. Um,
And I can only
and then
imagine, Rebecca, your after looking up that stuff, your YouTube algorithm must have just been so screwed up for at least like, a couple days to like a week.
I know I got a bunch of like Watch Mojo like death scenes. I was like, I actually don't want to see this,
You're
guys.
like, I'm good. All right, we gotta look up some happy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It was definitely an interesting experience that I'm like, I will only get to do that once in my life.
Up to this
And
point, was this your first time doing like a death scene or anything for like a film
yeah,
or a TV series? Okay.
yeah, I've never died before. I was in another movie called Luckiest Girl Alive, where almost everybody died except for me and one other person. So I didn't get to shoot a death scene in that moment. I was basically just scared and screaming the whole time. But yeah, this was my first time dying. And yeah, I just think like maybe I'll die in the future
Yeah.
in a movie, but or I'll definitely die in the future, um but I think this is the one chance I'll get to be like electrocuted.
Yeah.
And yeah, I felt special because
I
there's
think that
no blood involved in my death.
I think that's I mean, definitely an experience you'll always remember too, like your first character death on, on a film or a TV series. So what was like your reaction, like when you first like read it in the script, when you first came across that your character was getting killed off, where you're like, oh man, like did you have any questions for Matt or
I definitely did. I it was funny because in the original script that I received, Debbie's death was much worse.
Ooh,
Or to me, it was more like graphic. It was like there was a bit more of a chase, like she got away. But
yeah.
originally, it was that Judd got electrocuted and fell on top of her. So she was
Uh
like squirming to get out from under him and get away from the killer. And then once she did get out, she ran a little bit and then was caught in the wires of the um, what do they call it? The AV room.
yeah.
Um, and so to me, when I read the script for the first time, I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, this is really bad that first of all, her boyfriend's dead, and
Yeah.
also his body is on top of her. Like, how do you get out from there?
Guys, he was
Um,
a big guy.
yeah. And it's also like, just traumatizing for Debbie. You just saw like your boyfriend die, whether you care about it. I mean, Debbie didn't seem to really care about Judd all that much, but
Yeah.
whether you do or not, that's like a traumatizing thing to see. Um, but I also was like, she has like a strong will to live. Like she's running and she got out from under there. So, um, yeah, but then on the day or as the script kind of developed and the locations and everything were made, we shot in like an abandoned sewing mill in Hamilton.
Oh, so that must have been
Um,
kind of creepy.
yeah, oh yeah, the location itself was very creepy. Um, but yeah, I think once we had the location, things kind of changed and like adjusted to the location and it wasn't so much of a run, more of like a backing up and trying to get away, but kind of being trapped. And I felt like that was maybe even a different type of scary, like being trapped and realizing like there is nowhere to run. Like he
Yeah.
has me cornered. Um, like it I think through the development of the script, it kind of got more and more interesting and like some things got lost, but some things got added. And I thought that was like really cool to like be witness to as the film was going on. Yeah, and then I get to see the final product too. And it's, it's not, it's kind of like how I imagined it and kind of not how I imagined it. And it's like,
Yeah, it's
It's
one
very
thing to shoot
interesting.
it and then to actually see it once it's all put together with any special effects, things like editing and different things to actually see it. But I love that kind of stuff, being a big film nerd, just kind of hearing when a script sometimes will evolve from one thing and then changes to another thing by the time you guys are actually shooting. So I appreciate you sharing that story. And just to wrap things up, was there any other like favorite memories that come to mind for you of working on this film with this cast and crew? And just as far as moving forward for you, where can fans stay up to date with you?
I think one of my favorite memories was just spending time with all of my castmates and the crew and everybody that I became such close friends with. We had a green room in the high school that we were shooting in that, this high school was abandoned. Like there were no washrooms inside the building. It was like definitely an experience to be shooting there for so many days. And we all kind of bonded over the fact that, we're kind of trapped in this high school and we've been there for how many hours a day, for how many weeks. And um yeah, we all kind of, you know, got really sentimental about the whole thing by the end. And Yeah, I think just anytime I got to hang out with everybody, even like offset when we were like hanging out at the hotel or, just like driving back to, the location, driving back to the trailers, like all of those little moments, I think really fondly of. And then yeah, I mean people can catch me on Instagram or on any social media, and then also in Ginny and Georgia coming out on June 5th.
Perfect. Well, and I'll make sure to put your handle down below in the description. That way people can give you a follow. Rebecca, I just want to say thank you so much for your time today talking about the film. It was great to meet you and talk about Fear Street Prom Queen, and you are welcome back anytime in the future.
Oh, thanks. Really nice to meet you, Pat. Hi, I'm Rebecca Ablack. I play Debbie in Fear Street Prom Queen, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.